We now have the privilege to meet briefly with Robert John Aumann. He is a professor at the Center for the Study of Rationality at Hebrew University in Jerusalem and a laureate of the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences in 2005. Professor Aumann, you are a pioneer in game theory, which attempts to capture rational behavior and decision-making in strategic situations. How is this concept useful to explain economic processes, or in particular the events that have led to the financial crisis?
Well, game theory it underlies all of economics, and specifically what you mentioned, the matter of incentives, the matter of rational behavior, which means responding to your incentives. That's what economics is all about. Economics is about where incentives will lead you. And Jim Tobin, who was a macroeconomist and got the Nobel Prize in the mid-90s, once said that if you want to sum up economics in one word, that word is incentives. Now, the matter of incentives, acting rationally, responding to your incentives is always true. You always respond to your incentives. But sometimes rational action is how shall I say it? It's disturbed, it's twisted, because you are acting in unfamiliar situations. When you are in an unfamiliar situations, you do not necessarily do the thing that is actually best for you. You make mistakes, and that is something which is unavoidable. Yes, if you're used to something, then you act properly in that kind of situation. If you're not used to it, you don't know where it'll lead, and you may make mistakes. And that's what happened in the events that led up to the current financial crisis. The people did act in accordance with their incentives. They thought that the idea of bundling subprime loans together, charging a higher interest rate for those loans, and depending on those people who would pay for their mortgages to counterbalance the people who default, that sounded like a good idea, and they went into it. And in fact, it had repercussions which we now understand, but which at the time were unforeseen, because this was a new idea, it was unfamiliar. Now, I think in general it's a very, very good idea to try out new ideas on a small scale before you apply them on a large scale. I think in the case of subprime lending, even that wasn't quite feasible. The mistakes, the bad consequences only happened because the scale was very large to start with. That kind of thing can happen, and it's not a contradiction to the thesis of rationality.
So you say that one point is what can be done is to correct a bad incentive structure, and the other thing is that there must be a learning process within the actors as well.
Yeah, I think we go through learning processes in all walks of life, and on the other hand, a learning process consists of making mistakes. You know, when a little child learns to walk, it's falling down all the time. About 30 years ago, 35 years ago, I learned to ski. At the beginning, I fell down all the time. Learning consists of making mistakes. You go from one mistake to another. I think one has to see the current crisis in perspective. We have had, since World War II, a tremendous prosperity. The Western world has really gone forward in tremendous strides in the last 60 years. And the fact that we made a misstep should be seen as part of the learning process. Okay, so now we know, what can happen with subprime lending, and we will try to correct that. There are more fundamental causes for the crisis: over-leveraging, bad executive compensation structure, not size, but structure of executive compensation. A lot of correlation, interconnectivity of financial institutions. That's a bad thing. So we learn from these things. I'm sure the world economy will recover from this. I hope sooner, better than later, but I'm sure it will recover from this. And I think the people who determine economic policies in the world should understand the incentive implications of their decisions. And but this kind of thing is not bad. Some people say, hey, capitalism has failed, the market economy has failed, let's go back to socialism. That would be a terrible thing to do, yes, because we would just stop the world economy from turning around. Yes, people have to take initiatives, they have to take risks. Subprime lending sounded like a good idea, yeah, but it had implications that people were unaware of. But I think it's part of the process. Just get up and do it again. I say I learned to ski, okay? A few years after I learned to ski, I went down a black slope and I lost my footing and I tumbled down 200 meters, yes, without being able to stop for 200 meters. I lost both skis and I lost the sticks, and my grandson was standing up there, horrified, yes. And after 200 meters down the slope, I came to a stop. My grandson came down carrying both sticks and both skis, and the first thing I said to him was, David, we're going back up the lift and we're going to do the same slope again. Yeah, so we're not going to lose our footing again. Yeah, so that's the way to learn. Yes, the way to learn is fraught with crises. I mean, it can't always be good.
Professor Aumann, thank you very much for your time.